Welcome to the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. Here, we believe leadership isn't just about titles. It's about how you show up in every aspect of life. Whether you're leading a business, building a legacy as an entrepreneur, guiding your family, or striving to lead yourself first, this podcast is for you. Join us as we dive into real conversations about growth, decision-making, and the courage it takes to lead with purpose. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and equipped to become the limitless leader you are meant to be. This is your Limitless Leadership Podcast. Let's lead without limits. Welcome to your Limitless Leadership Podcast. And today, I know a lot of times we talk about business and how to grow your business and the things to do and how to do it and all these different things. And as Jenny and I were talking about, man, what would be a really good topic for the podcast? And I'll turn it over to her in a second. But there's this emotional stuff too that hits really close to our heart because the people we work with and the people we come across, they mean a lot to us. Put it that way. They become friends and really good people in our hearts. But I feel like as leaders, and this is where I'm going with this, is we I don't know how to say this. We push ourselves to the limit at times. And it takes a toll, whether it's with our families, whether it's with our business, whether it's with the people we lead, the people around us, and us. And sometimes it's with our health as well, which is a big part of it, which is what made us think about this, I guess, put it that way. So I want to turn it over to Jen and something that happened. If you know who Jenny is, if this is the first time listening, she is the CEO and co-host of your Limitless Leadership Podcast and my esteemed colleague wife and a fantastic woman at that and a great leader. But something that happened the other day that kind of hit her is where this is going, I guess. So I would love you to tell us about that, Mrs. Widman.
Yeah, it's just as we are leading teams, leading ourselves, leading our family, the number one thing that's the most important about all of it is our health. Because if we don't have our health, we don't have anything. And there's been recent events that has occurred to people that I coach, whether it's themselves or family members that they know, but have health scares that they are going through that enable them to go to work or, drive 6 hours to be with her father-in-law because of a heart attack he just had and had to take the whole week to go up there and be with him. So it's just there's events that happen in our life that truly make us and force us to take a step back to give us a fresh perspective. And I really wanted to push for this topic today because I don't want whoever is listening to this, it to be too late where you can't change something about it. And in every scenario that I've witnessed over the past 2 weeks, the events happened and they're okay now. But it's also, what if you're the person that's not okay on the other end? What if it goes even worse than what it could go? And so this is like that rude awakening I hope that people can have with themselves of, is the lifestyle that you're living a healthy lifestyle so that you will be here tomorrow and you will get the opportunity to solve the problems and issues that you're going through. Because some people just aren't as fortunate.
Many times we don't realize that we're going through something or we're pushing ourselves too hard until something happens, till our health breaks down. And I go back to, and I'll just talk about this a little bit. A couple of years ago, oh, probably a year and a half ago, what have you, we started with a brand builders group, and they helped us break down our brand and the people we help out and leaders that we help. And what's the common denominator, at least for me, that I see across the board is the biggest thing with whether it's market execs or market managers or what have you, people that run the leaders that run the leaders that run the salespeople, owners, presidents, what have you, CEOs. And the word that I came up with, or that we came up with brand builders, was pressure. And it's the pressure that we get across the board. And I have to tell you, I've been guilty of this as well. It's this pressure of, this is going to be a little hard to talk about. It's the pressure of, and I'm just going to use as a man. So I can't be in the thoughts of a woman. So bear with me here. But as a man, we do feel a lot of pressure to like, we have to go out and work really hard, and then we have to be dad at home, and we have to, we just don't get a lot of time to rest, I guess, put it that way. And there's the pressure of then at work, it's the constant of go, 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 go. We don't want to let people down is really where I'm going with this. And I think that's pressure we put on ourselves. That's why I mean by in the mind of a dude, in my mind, I guess, we feel this constant pressure that we have to be successful. We have to be in shape. We have to take care of the house. We have to take care of the kids in a good way. I love all of this, obviously. But at times it's like you got to give yourself permission to slow down. And if there's one thing I have to say that has really helped me in my world slow down, it's what Jenny has provided from the perspective, her perspective, to say, we need to take that vacation. Maybe you just need to go for a walk in the morning or listen to your book. Maybe you just need to take an afternoon on a Friday off, or let's walk down to get the kids, and all these different things. What it is, it's perspective on what is truly important in your world. And I think as leaders or as high performing salespeople, high performing people, we tend to get lost in that at times. Like we don't see why we do the things. We just do the thing and hope everything else kind of works out. And that used to be me. It was, I mean, from the time I woke up at back then 5:30 in the morning till probably 7, 8 at night, work was always on my mind. Always. Doesn't mean I was sitting in my desk working, but it did mean that it was constant. And that's where the stress or the anxiety or the frustration or whatever emotion you want to put around it. Most of you, if you're listening to this, know what I'm talking about. You've probably felt it. And it's a constant. And with that, though, that's where our health or our families or things start to, they battle each other, right? Just from natural tendency. And until you see that from the outside in, or you notice that, or actually until something that happens, which has prompted this conversation, I guess, put it that way, most of us just keep doing it. We don't stop. We don't slow down. We don't give ourselves grace or permission, because it's, can't do that. Can't take a morning off. Can't. To a T, the amount of people that we coach, and I would say 99.9% of the people that I have coached in my life have struggled with that until they have somebody that helps them through that and helps give them business and professional and personal advice and talking through things. And that's why we have job security, I guess, put it that way. But yeah, I'll turn it back over to you, Jen.
How have you helped them through that? I mean, the thing that's going through my mind the most right now is, I know I do that, but I don't know how to stop. Like, how have you helped someone through it specifically?
It's taking a step back and looking where it's how do I say it? It's taking everything out of the equation. I'm just going to throw it out there. It is literally taking all of the business and all the stuff and all the things coming at them out of the equation. Some of the people we coach are running multi hundreds of millions of dollars, billions. They have organizations. Okay. And when you run that type of organization, it rolls downhill. And a lot of times it rolls to you, is where it comes. And we get caught up in it and we feel like it's a constant working all the time. And until they have somebody to have a conversation, I was told the other day, and maybe this will kind of answer your question, Brent, the reason I love talking to you is because you make everything so simple. You just make it simple. I try to not overthink things. I try to not get caught up in things. I try to not worry too much about things. And it's like Jenny and I were just talking about a post I made, and I'm going to touch on this a little bit because it talked about like being naive, what have you. And what I mean by being naive is I want to make life and things simple because I want to put my mind where my mind is best spent. My mind's best spent on my family. It's best spent on Jenny. It's best spent on controlling the things that I can control, is really what I'm saying there. I want to be able to control who I talk to, when I talk to them, and all these different things. But if I try to control all the things and things that's where the pressure comes from. And that is so many times what we talk about and work on in this moment. What are the things that you can control? Or how do you manage your schedule? Like I've had a market exec from Morgan that I literally had to, this was a year and a half ago. We talked about, probably a little over a year ago, we talked about putting golf on his calendar to go golfing with his advisors. One, because he loved golfing, and two, because it gave him permission to do that. And he was like, I can do that? I'm like, yes, because you're building relationships, you're building business, you're taking care of yourself. I have another one in Florida. He does walk and talks. So you talk about health, he does walk and talks with his advisors. He plays tennis, he plays pickleball. He didn't 6 months ago. And now he's doing these things because not only is it helping him get in shape and helping him prioritize, but it's helping him understand what's important and what's in front of him, which is his health and the people he surrounds himself with. So it's things like that that when we get out of you what you want to do and what you say you need, because everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, most people to a T tell us I need to work out more and I need to do this in my business and my goals and all this stuff. But if you're not working out, you're not taking care of your full self. And I don't know if I just rambled by answering your question, but it's the pressure that we put on ourselves. So how do we help them? All the things I just talked about, like listening to them, understanding. And then again, I go back to this word permission, but it's from being there in the past and getting past it now. It was hard. It was really hard that every waking moment, if it's between the hours of 7 and 5, and I had an open space on my calendar, I thought I should be making phone calls all the time. That pressure was so heavy to make more money and do more, that it consumed me. And that's the only reason we can talk about these things is because when you look in the corner here, if you're listening to this, it's different if you see it, but you look at the corner here and you understand what is so important in our worlds. It's one of those things right there, that little guy right there that's waving at us. Hey, buddy. And that's why we do what we do. It's because of kids and people like that, little guys like that are so important. That's giving yourself permission.
Sorry. We haven't had that on a podcast before.
I love it.
I love the control, the controllables. It's a message that never gets old.
It doesn't.
I literally had a client ask me on Friday. I was going, they have a huge company meeting this Thursday. And he was like, hey, Jenny, I want to run by what my thoughts are for the message of the meeting. What do you think about? And then he said, control the controllables. And I just looked at him and I was just like, that message is a message that we need to hear constantly. It's a message that getting back to the foundation, getting back to the basics, we get so caught up in our everyday life and we get more and more pressure on ourselves. And I even say that a lot of times the people that I coach, they feel lonely at the top. They feel like
Mm.
they are the person that has to be this rock for everyone. They are the person that everyone goes to. And he's drowning himself. He's like, who do I go to? Who can I talk to? Where can I go with this? And it's just, it's that feeling of we got to control the controllables. And sometimes there's just things that come up that we cannot control, and we have to learn to deal with it. We have to learn to cope with it.
If you're listening to this and you're thinking, that's me, you're not alone. Let's call it what it is. You've got the drive, you've got the experience, like you have it. You have it. You know what you're doing. But something still feels off at times, or things could be better. We know that. They can be. You know there's more. What we do is we help committed leaders go from guessing and grinding to really leading with clarity and structure and confidence. We're offering complimentary DNA strategy calls. We're going to evaluate how you're leading, where performance might be breaking down. It happens. And what really needs to tighten up within your business, within your leadership, within those people around you. Then we're going to take this next step. And what we're going to do is build accountability, the skills and the systems to create that consistent or those consistent results around it. If you're open to digging in a little bit, the link is below in the show notes. Just book your DNAcall.com and we will find time for you and we will dig in with you. All right, let's get back to it.
One thing I do want to talk about is a current situation going on in our family life. And that is last week we had a meeting with the school, and our 5-year-old is got evaluated because in class he cannot be told the word no. He goes crazy, and he controls everything. He controls every game that he's playing with his friends, which then he doesn't have any friends because he's controlling it. He controls how to play the soccer game, how to play the basketball game. He needs to be the first in the line. And if he does not get his way, he erupts. And we work with him at home, but he's not like that at home. And or as severe as they're saying that he is in the classroom. And so on Thursday, he got approved for an IEP. And starting in kindergarten, he's going to be getting extra help where he leaves the classroom for 30 minutes a day. And he is working on the social cues and social awareness and the flexibility of not being able to control everything. And the lady said to me, like, hey mom, like how are you feeling? I see you have like a lot of emotions right now. And I was like, you know what? I'm just happy that he is going to learn these skills and the coping mechanisms as a 5-year-old, because how many of us as 40-year-olds have never learned that, have never gone through that. And we don't know how to cope with some of those things. We don't like to be told the word no. We like to control things, or I guess I can speak for myself. And it's like, if you can learn these things at a younger age, what that impact can be later on in life. And some people that I speak to now just aren't vulnerable enough to get a coach. They aren't vulnerable enough to talk about what they're going through, to basically own up to the fact that they can't control something, and they don't need the help. They don't need to talk through things. I mean, how many men I've talked to that say, I don't need a therapist. It's those things that like, when you can put yourself in a situation that you are able to learn and grow and work on yourself, it's the best thing for you. And we can't always control the environment around us, the surroundings, people's decisions, how they react to you, what they say to you, their words. But we can control ourselves. We can control our attitude. We can say what we want to say without feeling judged. And so it's just knowing for yourself what you need, what pressure you're putting on yourselves, what coping mechanisms would be good for you, and leaning into it instead of resisting it and not reacting because of it.
I love that you brought up the Hudson thing. I didn't even think about that because that is so closely correlated. It's funny. That is so closely correlated. As a 5-year-old who literally doesn't care about anything about except ice cream, right? And when his snack is coming. As opposed to the CEO, leader, president, owner of a company who has so much pressure on them that they feel like they need to perform. But in both instances, what if? What if you just took, because all they're doing with HUD is they're taking him out of the classroom for a half hour. That's it. To regroup, to breathe, to slow down, to help him, to just talk to him, to just be there. So they're taking him out of that environment that he's so caught up in for 30 minutes. What if you as a leader did the same thing? What if you went for a walk, which is what we've just talked about here, what I talked about the leaders, golf, running, walking, lunch, conversation, whatever it is, you're taking yourself out of that environment for 30 minutes to 60 minutes, but you're letting yourself, maybe it's just doing nothing. Maybe you're just staring into space or sitting in a chair outside at a picnic table of your office or on a balcony or whatever, and you're just there. We're not talking about doing this every day. We're not talking about doing this all the time. But when you need it most, talking about doing it or having a coach, like Jenny just talked about, that many people look at it like, I don't need help. And again, I go back to this. When I first started being a coach, I thought it was corny. I was one of those guys. Why do I need help? I'm just going to work harder and I'm going to do more. And what Jenny just talked about is it's not always about that. And what she has taught me, it's not always about that. And what other people, obviously, Jenny's just been a huge part of my life. Other people have taught me you don't always, the answer isn't always working harder. Sometimes it's, and I know we talk about smarter, but it's consistency and it's activity breeds results, but it's different types of activities. Like I talked about in a video the other day, maybe just read or just listen to books. Doesn't have to be a lot, but the things that you're going to learn and the things it's going to help you with. How many of you have a coach? How many of us develop ourselves that isn't just being in it all the time? I had this when I was speaking the other day. I asked one of the best things you can do to help yourself, and one of the words was practice. But so many of us show up every day and we just play the game. We just work as hard as possible and put in as many hours as possible, and we think we'll just figure everything out. Practice helps take the pressure off. Practice helps give you permission. And I mean that in different facets. And what I mean by practice is practice going for a walk for 15 minutes. Practice listening to a book for 20 minutes. Practice having a coach that you have somebody to talk to. Practice being that person that sometimes doesn't come in on a Friday morning till maybe 10 o'clock because you spent more time with your kids because they're off for the summer. Or maybe you took the afternoon off on a Thursday, or like Jenny and I revamped our schedules about a year and a half ago that every day at 4 o'clock we get to walk down and get the kids from school. Granted, we're pretty lucky to be able to do that, but I say that now. I wasn't lucky enough to do that 3 years ago because I didn't control that. I let somebody else control that. And that was the pressure that I put on myself. So if you take a step back and actually look at yourself, and this is what I would ask you to do. Look at yourself, look at your calendar, and look at your schedule, And it's the same adage. You've heard this. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. If you look where you spend your money, you know what's important to you. If you look at where you spend your time, you know what's important to you. Now, if you're making it a point to spend time with those that care about you and you're taking care of yourself, that's spending money and spending time on yourself. And it's when little things sneak into your office just to say hi. They're home for summer vacation today and tomorrow, waiting for grandpa. But it's these kinds of things that are really important to you. And I would encourage you to just like this. It's okay. It's okay to know what's important to you and have those people closest to you help take care of you. It helps take, I don't know how else to say it. It helps take that pressure off of you. It really does.
And another thing I would say too is like you have to know yourself. There's someone that I coach. She's next in line to be the president of the company. She has two kids at home. And the thing that she realized is she was going into the office every single day. But if she just took one day a week, and it can change during the week depending on what the situation is, to be at home and not have that hour and 15-minute commute, she gets so much more done at home than going into the office every single day just because she wants to show face. And I know it's hard for us because we're thinking to ourselves, well, we tell our team to come into the office and we need to be in the office and they need to see me working in the office. However, there's so much more you could probably get done with uninterrupted time. It could be vice versa and things like that, but it's just knowing how you operate, knowing when you work the best and leaning into those things. Yeah, there's days like today that both the kids are at home, so there's more distractions than usual. Most of the time they're not home. So it's also knowing what the schedule is for them and how you need to operate and what you need to do to perform and be your best. But I just say, like, sometimes what you think you're doing is not actually for the good, is not actually the best thing that you should be doing. And it's just realigning and relooking at your schedule to see what needs to be changed. I had one client last week and he took all of his one-on-ones and he just redid all of them from the beginning of the year. He made them 20 minutes instead of 30 minutes. He made them more consistently than every so often. And he was like, I'm just going to try it. I'm just going to see what it's like. I can get 3 done in an hour and they're all going to know that it's not a situation of a client. It is coaching for themselves. He reorganized it. He had a meeting about it. And he's just trying a different approach to be more efficient and effective with his team, but also knowing that his team has him for an uninterrupted 20 minutes for the week. And so it's just asking yourself, what are those things? Because if for you, you're putting this pressure on yourself that you need to be there and you need to show face every day and you need to do your 5-minute check-ins and stuff. But is that the best approach? Is the open door policy the best approach? Is there something that you can be doing to take the pressure off of you to get more time for yourself so that you can be best useful for them? So that's what I would just urge you to do, is just relook at your schedule, like, and make sure, like, are you sleeping at night? Are you getting the amount of sleep that you need? Are you exercising? Are you going on walks? Are you getting vitamin D for the summertime? I mean, some people on here might be getting too much, right? Some people on here might not be working like they should be working. And then you have added pressure on yourself because you have this guilt that you're not working. So it's just finding a happy medium, finding a balance for yourself to control what you can control and be the best that you can be, but not for your family, not for your office, not for your team, for yourself, because your health and you mean more than anything this world can offer. Because if you do not have your health, you have nothing.
I love that you said that, because there is the flip side. People are going to get off this and be like, well, Brent and Jenny told me I could just walk and work out all day long. And it doesn't really work that way. You have to put work and effort when you're in it to be in it. Okay. I got asked, I was sitting in an office, and I'll just say it, Northwestern Mutual, and a managing director looked at me and goes, "How are you always so calm?" And I said, "You know what, man? I work so hard between the hours that I allot for me to work that it makes every other time really easy for me." I'm glad you kind of brought that up. And I mean, you've heard my schedule and what have you, but there's time to pour into yourself, whether it's when I walk, I listen to a book. When I go to the grocery store, I listen to a book. When I just went and got Band-Aids this morning for our daughter, I listened to a book. Like things like that, I am developing myself. When it comes to the time to sit down and get after it from this hour to this hour, I am getting after it. And then midday a little bit, kind of check out a little bit to regroup, kind of figure everything back out, and then do it again. And you can structure your schedule like that. We are doing better than we ever have in our lives because we structure our schedule like that. If you give yourself the allotted time, it's the old adage of if you give yourself 30 minutes to clean the room, you'll clean the room. If you give yourself 3 hours to clean the room, it'll take you 3 hours. I know we're talking about pressure and I know we're talking about giving ourselves permission and all these different things. I just hope it's seeping into you and you listen to this and don't just think, they don't know me. They don't know what I have to do. They don't know what I go through. Yeah, we do because we've been through it and we still go through it at times. And every single person we have coached either is going through it, has been through it, or has come out the other side of it. So we do understand, which also tells us that if you really want to do something about it, you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Doesn't always have to be an all or nothing. Just has to be a something. It has to work for you. What works for me or Jenny or whoever may not work for you. But I would bet if you have a lot of pressure on you, if you're overweight, if you're struggling, if you're whatever it is, if your marriage is struggling, if your kids don't know who you are, if you don't have a relationship, if you can't take a morning off and go golfing with your teammates, if you just feel like you always have to be, that can change. I promise. It can. It can.
Yeah, the last story I'll leave you with, kids really do a good way of humbling you or humbling
Mm.
the situation. But I was laying in bed with Hudson in our nightly routine last week when he was in school and he had his last week of school, and he's learning like the how much like how long a minute is and how long an hour is, and how a movie is 2 hours. And he laid there and he was like, "Hey mommy, how many minutes am I away from you during the day?" And I looked at him and I was like, "Well, about 480. Like when you're at school, you're gone for about 480 minutes." And he goes, "What? 400? That's like 500 minutes." And I was like, "I know, bud." And he was like, "That's a long time." And when I left the room, it just reminded myself of, if I'm leaving my son, if I'm leaving the most treasured person in my life 500 minutes of the day, what am I doing for myself to be present with him when I am with him? What am I doing to show up at work? What am I doing to show up for myself? How am I making sure that when I am with him, those minutes are best spent? And the number one thing I would say to anybody that's listening to this is your health and your sanity and your presence is the most important. From there, it's making sure that people feel that at work. It's making sure that people know that you care, making sure that you care about them as humans, making sure that people on your team are healthy and they're showing up for themselves and their family, because they're going to see you do it. They need to do it. And then they're going to show up better for you at work. They are going to be their best version of themselves. And so we talk about this all the time, but like it's it's that holistic aspect of coaching. Like, it's not just about business, because business is not the most important thing in your life. Your health is, because you don't have anything if you don't have that.
I'm going to leave that right there. That is the best way to finish this. I don't know what else to say to that. You just hit it on the head. You just summed up everything that we talked about and everything that I hope all of you can take away from this. Because when your son or your daughter or people that you care about, you're away from them for 500 plus minutes a day, my mind went right to, I better damn well be doing the things I need to do at work instead of Facebook and Instagram and all the other things that we allow ourselves to do. I better be doing the deal that I know I should be doing the deal. Because then it makes it worth it when I get home and I can provide the things that I want to give to them, and I can have peace of mind, like you said, when I get home, that I did all the things within the hours of that day, and I'm leaving it all on the field or leaving it all there, whatever you want to call it. So thank you again for being on here. The best way to find us, because we know whether you like it or not or are ready to admit it, you are probably going through this kind of stuff. DNAcall.com. Reach out to us. The worst that can happen is you're going to have a conversation, and maybe we help you with some of this stuff that you help you realize, I guess is what I should say, or help you see it. Or maybe we help you go, you're in a pretty darn good spot. Good for you. Good for you. And I've had conversations like that. So DNAcall.com, it's worth it. I appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining us on the Your Limitless Leadership Podcast with Jenny and Brent Widman. We hope today's conversation inspired you to think differently about leadership, not just in your career, but in every part of your life. Remember, leadership starts with leading yourself first. It's about taking action, making bold decisions, and showing up with purpose. Now, it's time to take what you've heard today and put it into practice. Whether it's in your business, your community, your family, or your own personal growth, start leading without limits. You have the power to become the leader you're meant to be. Until next time, keep pushing your boundaries and leading with purpose.